and Medina for 20 days, but does not specify his residence at one of the location. In this case, one is required to remain shortening his prayer even though he has intended 20 days, because he has not specified only one town where he will reside. The reason is that the intention at two locations implies that he will be at different location, and this prevents the rule of residence from operating. The exemption in when he intends to spend the night at one of the two places, in which case he will become a resident the moment he enters the location. If he intends at one place is going to stay more than 15 days, then of course. And then let's say he intended to stay in Irving for 20 days, okay? And for some reason he goes to Euless, or he goes to Plano, or he goes to some other places, and he comes back to Irving, he will still continue to pray his 4 rak'ah. Now, for his intention to become disactive, he has to travel again for 48 miles or more for this 20 days intention to become disactive again. Unless he makes an intention that now from today I will be leaving Irving from tomorrow, so then he can switch his intention and he can make his 4 rakat into 2 rakat, or 2 rakat into 4 rakat, however the intention changes. Intending the desert as place of residence. So speaking of traveling in residence while staying in the city, but for his intention to change from residence to travel, he has to actually travel, because the part that activates the traveling intention is the actual travel. So if he has staying at one place, intention of travel is there, and while staying in one place, he changes his intention, then he can switch from 2 to 4. But if he wants to, he's making an intention to pray 4 rak'ah, and then now he wants to switch from 4 to 2, then he has to actually travel to change that 4 into 2. He cannot just do it, changing the intention, and immediately that 4 will become 2. Okay, intending the desert as a place of residence is not valid except for those people who live in the tents as their homes. An intention of residing is not valid for soldiers who are fighting on an enemy land, for the reason that there is hesitations in their intention as to when they will leave. In this situation, prayer must be continued to be shortened because the intention of residing is not valid in such a state. Okay. In addition, an intention of residing is not valid for soldiers who lay siege to a city or town against disobedient Muslims in our land. So if you are in you're fighting against the rebels, then that situation will be, as long as you have traveled to go into that area and try to go and fix the problem that is causing there. And the evidence of that is the Prophet ﷺ stayed at Tabuk for 20 days, shortening the prayers during his stay, because this was a siege. Okay, the traveler praying behind a resident and vice versa. If a traveler offers the prayers in his time behind a resident imam in the congregational prayer, then the prayer is valid and the traveler is to complete the prayer as a 4 rak'ah with the imam. And if, however, the congregational prayer is not being offered in his time, that is, its time has expired, the traveler is not permitted to pray behind a resident imam, though the traveler can be the imam for the resident in this case, and can also be the imam if the prayer is offered in his time. The Prophet ﷺ performed the prayer with the people of Mecca while he was a traveler, saying that complete your prayer, for we are in travel. Therefore, the traveler can be a follower behind a resident imam if the prayer is offered in its time, though not if its time is expired. And it's valid if the traveler is the imam in both cases. Okay, so what's the scenario here? You came to an area and the Dhuhr Salah time is expired. Now you are in Asr Salah, you come to the masjid and you see that the people, they have also missed the Salah. And there's a group of people, they are making their Dhuhr Salah as Qada. Now you cannot pray behind them. Why? Because their Salah was missed as the Dhuhr Salah and your Salah as a full Salah, and your Salah was missed as a shortened Salah. So they are making up a full Salah that was missed, and you are making up a shortened Salah that was missed. Now, if you become the Imam of these people who have missed their prayer, then you can lead them in Dhuhr and you will pray 2 and they will pray 4. Why? Because now you are the primary intention maker. So that's why your Salah will be valid and their Salah will be valid, but vice versa will not work. This is again according to Hanafi opinion, where the Shafi'i opinion, both scenarios will work, and both situations will be fine to do. وندب للإمام بعد التسليمتين أن يقول أتموا صلاتكم فإني مسافر وينبغي أن يقول ذلك قبل شروعه في الصلاة ولا يقرأ المقيم فيما يتمه به بعد فراغ إمامه المسافر في الأصح. Okay, if the traveler is the Imam, it is recommended for him after the final salams on the completion of the 2 rakahs to say, complete your prayer and I am a traveler. However, prior to the prayer, he is required to say these words to prevent uncertainty, and after the traveler imam completes his prayer, the follower stands and complete their prayer without reciting the Quran, because the imam's recitation suffices and no one may enter and pray behind them. So this is again the last portion. This is only for the Hanafi opinion, that if you are praying behind an imam who is a traveler and you stand up to complete your 2 rak'ah, well, the imam has already prayed his 2 rak'ah and did his salam, you will not do qira if you are practicing the Hanafi opinion. If you're doing the Shafi'i, or if you're following the Shafi'i school of thought, then you will do your Surah Al-Fatiha, because that's something that is considered wajib individually, according to Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullahi alayh. Okay. Qada'ul Fawaid, making up the missed prayer. And this is the missed prayer that is actually happened in travel, or that happened in a station and you're praying in travel. If a travel misses a prayer and decides to make it up when he is a resident, he is to offer it as 2 rak'ah because he missed it while he was traveling. And if a resident misses a prayer and decides to make it up while he's a traveler, he is to offer as 4 rak'ah. The factor considered here of whether to pray the full number when one is resident, or 2 rak'ahs when a traveler, is the state of a person in the last timing of the prayer he missed it. So if a person, he's starting to travel at the time of Dhuhr, and while he was traveling, the Salat al-Dhuhr time passed. Now he's going to make up that as a Safar Salah as 2 rak'ah. Vice versa, if a person has missed his Dhuhr Salah in a station, and then after the Dhuhr Salah finishes, he starts to travel, then in his travel, if he's going to make up for that Dhuhr Salah, it will be 4 rak'ah. Okay. Al-watanu wa aqsamuhu wa ma yabtalu bihi. One's place of dueling, its types, and what invalidates it. So this is, over here, we're going to talk about the actual residence, and which is called Watanul Asli, your homeland. And the second is called your temporary land, the temporary stay land, which is called Watanul Iqama. What is a homeland? A homeland is a place where a person, his family lives, he's married, he has kids there, or if he's not married, then his parents live there. What is Watanul Iqama? Watanul Iqama is a stationed place of your stay, that if a person is working at another city or he is studying at another city, then, and he intends to stay there for more than 15 days for his work reasons or for his study reasons, then this individual will be considered as travel. If a person he is commuting weekly, so let's say if a person lives in Dallas and he works in New York, and he travels every week, so he travels on Sundays and he comes back on Fridays, and he spends the weekends in Dallas. So In Dallas, he's going to pray his regular salah because this is his homeland, even though he's staying here for 2 days. But that's his actual homeland. And when he's in New Jersey or New York, that's his work land. Over there, if he's staying more than 15 days, then he's going to do full prayers. Otherwise, if he's only staying for 7 days, then he's going to do shortened prayers, even though this schedule continues on for years. That's how the situation would be. Whenever he was at workplace, staying there less than 15 days, he's going to shorten his prayers. Okay, a person's original permanent residence is no longer regarded as such when it is replaced by a new permanent residence, unless if you move to another place, then that place becomes your home residence. So let's say if a person was living in New York first, then the whole family moves to Dallas, and everyone is in Dallas. Then he starts working in New York. So that New York will become his temporary station, and Dallas will become his permanent station. Okay, وَيَبْطِلُ وَطْنُ الْإِقَامَةِ بِمِثْلِهِ وَبِالصَّفْرِ وَبِالْأَصْلِ. The place of iqama, meaning the temporary station, ends when a person locates to a similar place, like when a person locates to a similar place like it, or if he merely sets out on a journey from the place of dwelling. If he returns to his permanent residence, in which case his temporary residence ceases. So the example of this is, if you are staying at one place and that's not your residence, that's not a permanent residence, it's a temporary residence. And that temporary residence has to be more than 15 days. If he leaves and he comes to his station place, even for a few days or even for a day, his stationed residence will be the actual place where he will pray for, even if he stays there for 1 day. And now if a person, let's say he is at one place, he's doing his practices in New York, and now his practices shifts from New York to, let's say, Detroit. Now that Detroit will become his station place, New York will be completely deleted, and now Dallas will stay his actual residence place. So that's how the traveling scenarios will work in regards to a person intending to do travel. Now, وَالْوَطْنُ الْأَصْلِ هُوَ الَّذِي وُلِدَ فِيهِ. What is Watane Asli? Watane Asli is one's apartment, residence, homeland, is that place when one is born or married, and even if one did not marry there, but intended to live as a permanent place of stay and do not immigrate from it. Okay? وَوَطْنُ الْإِقَامَةِ مَوْضِعٌ نَوَى الْإِقَامَةِ فِيهِ نِصْفُ شَهْرٍ فَمَا فَوْقَهُ. The place of iqamat or temporary residence is a place one intends to reside in it for half a month or more, than in 15 days or more. This means if a person travels to another country and intends to reside there for at least 15 days, then he must offer his prayer normally. The place where one intends to reside for less than 15 days is not regarded by the scholar as a place of residence. So if you're staying there more than less than 15 days, that's not even Watn al-Iqama, you're still considered as a musafir. Okay, so we're going to stop right here, and now we are going to take questions. If you have questions, please post them and I will answer accordingly, inshallah. Okay. So if the question is more about regarding the Salatul Marid, if a man is unable to fold his leg due to an injury and is praying at home, can he make jama'ah with the family and lead the salah while sitting entire salah and making gestures for sajda? Qada or qaida, or is better to pray individually? So if you're not able to do sajda, if you are doing ishara, meaning you're just bowing for sajda, but you're not doing actual sajda, you're just, moving your head or your body while you're sitting in the chair, the ulama recommend in this situation, you will not be leading the salah. So in this situation, it's better to pray individually. unless someone else is in the house who can lead the salah, because your salah is, a person's sin salah. Now, there is another opinion that allows it, but the cautious and the better opinion is that you do not lead the salah. If you are not doing sujood or for your salah, proper sujood for your salah, then you would just pray your salah individually. If you are traveling less than 3 or 15 days, but more than 50 miles, then we still have to pray qasr. Yes, if you are less than 15 days or even less than 3 days, and you're traveling more than 50 miles from your city limit, then you will do qasr. Yes. Shortening is for obligatory prayers. Do we still pray a sunnah prayer as a prescribed? The sunnah prayer are something that is recommended by scholars if you have the time to pray. Now, the sunnatul mu'akkada, if you leave it out while you're traveling, then you will not be held accountable for them. If you leave it out, sunnatul mu'akkada, habitually in your station situation, then you will be held accountable. But if you're traveling, you do have the time to pray sunnatul mu'akkada, but still you don't pray, you will not be sinful or you will not be held accountable in any way. However, to pray is better. So if you pray your sunnah, it's better. If you don't pray, that is also permissible. And there is no harm in it. No one should be criticized of not praying, or someone who's praying who she should not be also be criticized. In Zohar Qasr, if you are joining Jama'ah from third rak'ah, then we pray 2 or finish. You will finish 4 because you are praying behind an Imam who's praying 4, even though you're traveling. Since you have made the intention to follow a resident Imam, you will still do 4 even though you have joined in the third rak'ah. Okay, inshallah. So next week we are going to be starting Salatul Marid, and this will answer a lot of the questions that we have regarding when you are sick or what type of sickness allows you to skip qiyam, skip ruku, skip sujood, so on and so forth. Inshallah, this will be discussed in the next week's session. We ask Allah to accept our effort, and we ask Allah to give us the ability to understand and practice. Amin ya rabbal alameen. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.